They said gold could change a man, but no one ever warned what it would turn him into. Imagine leaving everything behind: your home, your family, your name, because somewhere beyond the horizon, the ground itself is whispering promises. Promises of fortune, promises of freedom, promises of becoming someone new. In the mid-1800s, hundreds of thousands followed those whispers westward. They crossed deserts that swallowed men whole, mountains that broke wagons like toys, and rivers that carried dreams downstream with the dead. Some found gold, most found nothing, and many found something far more dangerous: what greed does to the human soul. This is the story of the Gold Rush Trail. In January of 1848, on the quiet edge of a river in California, a few shining flakes changed the course of history. At first, the news spread slowly, passed between workers, traders, and travelers, like a rumor too strange to trust. But rumors grow wings when hope feeds them. By the time the rest of the nation heard, gold had already begun pulling people west, as if the land itself had learned how to call. Farmers dropped their plows mid-field. Clerks locked empty offices. Sailors abandoned ships in harbors. They weren't chasing wealth alone, they were chasing escape from debt, from failure, from ordinary lives that suddenly felt too small. The West became a blank page where anyone could rewrite their story, or so they believed. They called themselves 49ers, though many never arrived in 1849 at all. They came from the East, from Europe, from Asia, from everywhere the word gold could reach. Each man carried the same dream, but no two journeys would be the same, because the road west did not care who you were. There was no single gold rush trail. There were many paths, and each demanded a price. Some traveled by sea, sailing around South America through violent storms and endless weeks of hunger. Others crossed the continent on foot, following wagon ruts that stretched like scars across the plains. Families walked beside oxen, pushing carts heavier than hope itself. The desert was the first judge. Heat blurred the horizon. Water turned precious enough to kill for. Wagons were abandoned piece by piece, furniture, tools, memories left bleaching in the sun. Then came the mountains. Snow buried paths without warning. Men froze within sight of shelter. Animals collapsed and were butchered where they fell. Sometimes the dead were buried shallow. Sometimes not at all. Along the trail, graves multiplied faster than towns ever would. And yet, the line kept moving west. Because turning back meant admitting the dream was a lie. And that, to many, felt worse than death. When they finally arrived, what waited was not paradise, but noise. Mining camps sprang up overnight. Tents, shacks, and saloons crowded riverbanks where gold was rumored to rest just beneath the surface. There was no law here, only rules made by whoever held power that day. Men worked from dawn until darkness, sifting mud and stone with bleeding hands. Some struck gold quickly, others dug for months, finding nothing but exhaustion. And gold did something strange. It erased manners. It blurred morality. A man who found a fortune in the morning could be murdered by nightfall. Claims were stolen. Partners betrayed each other.
Keep them moving now.
A single ounce of gold could end a friendship or a life. Yet the camps pulsed with energy. Music drifted from saloons. Laughter mixed with gunfire. Dreams were shouted louder than reason. This was the Wild West before legends cleaned it up. Ironically, most of the real wealth never came from the ground. It came from selling hope. Merchants charged outrageous prices for food, tools, and shelter. A shovel could cost a week's wages. A simple meal might cost a small fortune. Boarding houses packed men like cargo. Some who never touched a pickaxe walked away richer than the miners who did. Meanwhile, towns transformed. A quiet settlement could become a booming city in months, then collapse just as quickly when the gold ran dry. Ghost towns appeared like warnings scattered across the land. The gold rush built America's West, but it also exposed its ugliest instincts. Not everyone arrived by choice. Indigenous communities watched their land torn apart, rivers poisoned, and sacred ground claimed overnight by strangers who believed gold gave them ownership. Violence followed. Displacement followed. Silence followed. Immigrants faced hostility and injustice, blamed for competition they never created. Laws shifted like sand, favoring whoever held power at the moment. The gold rush was never just a race for wealth. It was a collision of cultures, values, and survival. And in that collision, many were crushed. As gold dwindled, something else took its place. Cattle trails expanded. Cowboys drove herds across open land, once traveled by miners. Former prospectors turned ranch hands. Others turned to crime, finding faster money at the barrel of a gun. Outlaws thrived in the chaos left behind. Lawmen followed, trying to tame land that resisted control. Stories grew larger than truth. Legends were born. The West became less about gold and more about what kind of man you were willing to be when no one was watching. For every success story, there were thousands of quiet endings. Men who returned home with empty hands. Men who never returned at all. Letters stopped coming. Names faded from memory. Some stayed, building new lives from the wreckage of old dreams. Others carried the West inside them forever, a place where hope burned brighter and burned faster. Gold promised freedom, but it demanded sacrifice. The Gold Rush Trail was never just a road across America. It was a road through human nature. It showed how far people will go for the chance to start over, how quickly dreams can turn into obsession, how thin the line is between ambition and greed. Some found gold, some found ruin, and some found something harder to name, an understanding of who they truly were when stripped of comfort, rules, and safety. The West didn't make men better or worse. It simply revealed them. And long after the last nugget was taken, the echoes of those footsteps still linger on dusty trails, abandoned towns, and in the stories we tell today. Because the road west was never really about gold. It was about the price we're willing to pay for a dream.